Hi, I'm Danielle Daughtry Sanford. Please subscribe to my channel. Also, check out the featured channel and about sections. My original plan was to focus on one particular mutual fund. However, after careful consideration, I decided to do a comparison on two mutual funds I currently own. The first mutual fund is Fidelity Trend Fund, and that is FTRNX, Fidelity Trend Fund. The second mutual fund is Fidelity S&P 500 Index Fund, and that is FXAIX, Fidelity 500 Index Fund. So let's get started. I'm going to consider the following areas. Number 1, fund overview. 2, Morningstar snapshot. 3, price. 4, 10-year return. Number 5, expense ratio. Number 6, hypothetical growth of $10,000 over a 10-year period. The top 10 holdings, that's number 7. So let's start working our way down the list. I'll be basing my comparison from information I obtained on Fidelity Investments. The information is from January 31st, 2022, and I understand quite a bit has changed. With that said, number 1, fund overview. The objective is to provide investment results that correspond to the total return, i.e., the combination of capital changes and income, performance of common stocks publicly traded in the United States, and the strategy is investing at least 80% of the assets in common stocks that are included in the S&P 500 index, which broadly represents the performance of common stocks publicly traded in the United States. Now, this is direct quotes from Fidelity Investment website. And then it says who may want to invest. Someone who is seeking the potential for long-term share to price appreciation and secondarily dividend income. Someone who is seeking both growth and value style investments and who is willing to accept volatility associated with investing in common stock. So what I highlighted was who may want to invest, and what I underlined was growth and value style investments. Now pay attention to that. Keep that in mind when we look at Fidelity Trend Fund. The objective for Fidelity Trend Fund is seeks growth capital, and the strategy is investing in companies that FMR, and FMR stands for Fidelity Management and Research, believes have above average growth potentials. Stocks of these companies are often called growth stocks, normally investing primarily in stock funds. Who may want to invest? Someone who is seeking the potential for long-term share to price appreciation. Someone who is willing to accept the general greater price volatility associated with growth-oriented stocks. So what I have underlined here is growth-oriented stocks. That is a focus of this mutual fund. So number 2, let's look at the Morningstar snapshot. We're going to start off with Fidelity 500 Index Fund. Thank you for grace. So as of January 31st, 2022, the Morningstar category, now it's categorized in large blend data according to Morningstar. So the rating for Fidelity 500 Index Fund is a 5 out of 5 stars. The returns are 4 out of 5 squares. The expenses are 1 out of 5, so it has relatively low expenses. And the risk of this category, so we're going from green to red. So it is kind of in the yellowy orange category. Now let's look at Fidelity Trend Fund. Again, it falls in the large growth data according to Morningstar. This is according to January 31st, 2022. It has an overall rating of 4 out of 5 stars. The return, 4 out of 5. The expenses are slightly higher at a 2 out of 5 compared to S&P. The risk of this category is a little bit more towards the orange compared to the Fidelity 500 Index Fund. So again, the Fidelity Trend, 4 out of 5 stars, returns are 4 out of 5, expenses are 2 out of 5, and the risk of this category is in the more towards the orange area. So let's look at the price. Fidelity 500 Fund, the 12-month high and low in January 31st, 2022 was at $130.92 up to $166.37. So let's look at the range for Fidelity Trend Fund. The 12-month high, low and high was $139.41 up to $187.48. So the Fidelity Trend Fund in terms of price is more expensive overall. Now, number 4 is the 10-year return. So for the Fidelity 500 Index, the 10-year return was 16.54%. And remember, it has lower expenses. The Fidelity Trend Fund, the 10-year return was 19.85% with higher expenses compared to the 500. So you get a higher return with the Fidelity Trend Fund, and there are also higher expenses. Whereas with the Fidelity 500 Index Fund, you have lower return and also lower expenses. So now let's look at the expense ratio. Just how expensive are each of these mutual funds? The Fidelity 500 Index Fund is at the expense ratio, the gross expense ratio is at 0.015%. Now let's look at the Fidelity Trend Fund. The expense ratio gross for Fidelity Trend Fund is 0.73%. So Fidelity Trend Fund has a higher expense ratio. That could be because it is a little bit more actively managed compared to the Fidelity 500 Index Fund. Now let's look at number 6. A hypothetical growth of $10,000 over a 10-year period. This is always fun to look at. Fidelity 500 Index Fund, $10,000 hypothetically would be worth $41,042. Now let's look at Fidelity Trend Fund. $10,000 over a 10-year period would hypothetically be worth $51,010. That is really impressive. Both of them are really impressive. So let's go to number 7, the top 10 holdings. For the Fidelity 500 Index Fund, the top 10 holdings, they represent 29.29% of the total portfolio. Now, think about that percentage. We'll get back to that. The top 10 holdings are Apple Incorporated, Microsoft Corporation, Amazon.com Incorporated, Alphabet Incorporated Class A, Tesla Incorporated, Alphabet Incorporated Class C, Meta Platforms Incorporated Class A, NVIDIA Corporation, Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated Class B, and United Health Group Incorporated. They have 508 holdings as of December 31st, 2021, and they have 501 issuers as of December 31st, 2021. Now let's look at Fidelity Trend Fund. The top 10 holdings as of December 31st, 2021, And now this represents 45.78% of the total portfolio. Now keep in mind what the percentage was for Fidelity 500. We're talking about Fidelity Trend Fund right now. The top 10 holdings represent 45.78% of the total portfolio. Amazon.com, Alphabet Incorporated Class A, Apple Incorporated, Microsoft Corporation, Nvidia, Meta Platforms Incorporated Class A, Tesla, Microsoft Incorporated Class A, Globant SA, Microchip Technology. And they have 123 holdings as of December 31st, 2021. They have 122 issuers as of December 31st, 2021. So we can see a difference here. The top 10 represents less of a percentage of the holdings for the 500. So the Fidelity, when you think of it, is a little bit more aggressive compared to the 500 index fund. But again, they are both great mutual funds. My approach is I have a little bit of both. That's my approach. So that's going to be it, everyone. So this concludes the overview. So I suggest doing your own research regarding retirement, investment, and or brokerage platforms that best fit your needs and budget. And be sure to subscribe and click the all notification bells for updates, and check out my YouTube channel, and also check out my Storytime playlist and Focus on Finance playlist. And for everyone that's listening via Anchor, thank you so much for listening. Check out where I am on social media, and until next time, enjoy the journey.